Hey, hey, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to the Tarot Flow Show where synchronicity is the star. And I am your host, Alison Pickering, and I am so happy to be here today with my friends who are here to experience all the synchronicity, all the crazy coincidences, and let me introduce my co-host from Stockholm, Sweden, the Scandinavian savant and student of the mystical. I have learned so much. It's been my pleasure since the advent of crazy COVID to be studying a couple times a week ever since then with the wonderful and brilliant Kefri Skarabus. Welcome, Kefri. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Alison. Hi.
What time is it there? Is it like midnight? Is it 1 a.m? What time is it?
It's about 10 o'clock in the evening, actually.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate your night owlness. And we have an early bird with us today. I am so happy. And she really did save the day with both her adventurousness, her spirit of, why not? And let's learn and all of that. She's a writer. She's an entrepreneur. She's a liberator of businesses because she has helped so many small businesses go from anonymity and obscurity into profit and profitability and exposure and all that wonderful stuff. And she also is an adventurer and a hostess and an off-grid guru, glamping, fabulous woman from the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. It is Sue. Sue, welcome, and thank you for being here with us. I'm so glad that you've decided to join us. Welcome to you.
Thank you
so
much.
How you doing today? Tell us a little bit about where you are and what experiences you might have with tarot, if you don't mind.
Sure. So I'm calling in from our 35-acre property that we bought in the Smokies, where we're homesteading and building a retreat center for entrepreneurs. So we're at the very early stages, been here since April 1st, basically. So,
congratulations. Much success to you. So are you is there building sites behind you? What are you planning to build?
So we have a barn right now, which is where we camp out. And so there's a creek that goes, it's right on my side here. It goes the whole length of the property. There are pastures on the other side. And then over that way, there are hills with woods, and that's the bulk of the property is this beautiful hilly area. It's absolutely stunning. So
congratulations.
Thank you so much.
It does wonderful things for one's spirit to be in nature and with all that aesthetic feed and beauty, just to really contemplate and have in your face all the time,
It is.
And I'm a city girl, so I envy you, your spread.
It is absolutely stunning, and you have a standing invite. Come stay anytime you want.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So let's talk a little bit, and let me just also let you know what you're in for today, because Sue is so amazing that she decided to just jump into this adventure with the Tarot Flow Show without even ever having in her life a reading. So yay for you. So as we take a look at what we're going to be doing today, what it is that you've signed up for, we're going to have a little bit of chit chat about your experience with tarot, which I think will be pretty short. We're going to have a little visual tour so that you know what it is that we're working with. We'll make some connections perhaps to images. And then you might want to pick a particular card that we can unpack so we can just show how much is built into a single major arcanum, shall we say. And then we're going to jump into doing a 7-card reading, which is, since I'm coming from Hollywood and we like our Oscars and everything, it's about for your consideration. And any kind of reading is for your consideration, meaning we are taking a snapshot of the now and allowing us to consider perhaps more than we might have seen of the now, and think about it, talk about it, expand our minds to consider it. And in that way, that is productive time in terms of looking at what is there to be thought about and considered at multiple levels. And so we're going to be today modeling a process of reading at multiple levels. And so you're going to be doing something new and kind of mystical, and we are recording it. Obviously, it's your option whether this makes it to the internet. And so you'll have that discretion at the end, and you can let me know tomorrow or whenever works for you. And so we're going to just go ahead and jump on into the visual tour after, if you don't mind. What do you know or have you heard about tarot, or what do you feel when you think about it? What are some things that just come to mind as like a free association for you, Sue?
Yeah, I mean, not a whole lot. I've never ever had a reading. I have some friends who are kind of into astrology, and they tend to have a little bit of interest in tarot as well. I used to be a pastor's wife, so it was kind of like frowned upon. Like I just literally never had anything that I've done. So that's the short and glorious history.
Wonderful. Well, it's interesting always when there's a taboo around something, because it puts an extra added little aura of fear or of like evil or whatever. And so I'll be straight up with you that the cards are powerful things. They are no joke, but we are very self-disciplined, let me say, in how we approach them, because you can approach them and it's like driving a car. You could drive a car in a really irresponsible way and do some damage. That's not our intention. And we've been doing this, both of us, between Kefri and me. We have about 80 years, if not 90 years of experience with the cards and with this kind of words and images and experience. And so I would like to say you're in good hands, and that we take very responsible care of the people who come to us to consider whatever the cards might be asking them to consider today. So I think I hope you can relax, or at least just open up to whatever this is going to be, and understand that we come from, I hope, the best of places in wanting this to be a very divinely guided and holy experience. And if you would like to say a prayer over this, that would be most welcome. If that would make it seem like something blessed. So personally for me, I pray that what this is and the images that come to you today are for everyone's greatest good, that allow you to access your own beautiful self in the most elegant and open way, and that it gives you fun and entertaining things to think about as you walk your spiritual road.
That sounds perfect.
And so be it. Thank you. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick look at some images, and let's do it this way. And the first main character in this tarot journey is called the Fool. And he is jumping into a new manifestation. This might not be his first time. Those mountains are where he will be attaining to, but this cliff he's on is higher than he's ever been. And the valley he's jumping into is higher than where he was before. So it's always this kind of constant upward vision and pathway. As we move into the major arcana, there are 22 of these. The Fool was the first one, of the 0 card. And then we have 21 of these guys. And you can kind of see these as the first row, as if he were or she were or they were. They are willing. They are jumping into life, and they have a certain amount of inherent capacity in their spiritual masculine and feminine polarity. Perhaps they have both parents at home. Perhaps there are teachers to tell them the social mores with that Hierophant, relationships and friendships with the Lover's card, transport, and outside the city of or the homestead, the acres of homestead in that Chariot card. And then in the middle row, you have kind of lessons of encounters and things that you go through as an adult, passions, solitude, luck and fortune and learning. See the books in each of those biblical characters, the Ezekiel's animals in the vision. You may have some biblical references in your mind, and those are the figures that he saw. They're also the fixed signs of the zodiac, and they're all learning in books right there. And then there's the Justice card, spiritual law, universal law, municipal law. What kind of laws? Copywriting law. I don't know. What are the different laws that you abide by? And some of them you obey, and some of them you don't. And sometimes it's purposeful, and sometimes it's an accident. And sometimes big things come through your life that will make you go upside down, or just make you have to just surrender to their ways for a while, because you can do no other. The resistance is futile. And then there's that temperance, and the temperance is where you start to figure out your own particular balance and cocktail. And you'll notice in that card, there's a little road up to a mountain and a crown at the top of that mountain. And that crown is our source, for example. And at the bottom are kinds of conditions of consciousness, and you could be real stuck in your materialism with that devil card. That's Capricorn, the goat, the work world, the contracts, the obligations, the promises we make, all the things that we enter into in this work world, and you render unto Caesar, so to speak. But if that's the only thing you're doing, then reality is going to come in and knock the lid, flip your lid, or knock you out of your ivory castle or ivory tower. Choose your metaphor. And then you are left unto yourself, unto your nakedness and your hopes and your authenticity. And it's not very well lit with that moon card. You had that flash of lightning, but now it's dark again, and you kind of sort of remember, and you got to make your way. And there's that pathway again. Notice those two pillars. They were also in that death card above with that white horse in the big distance where the sun is rising. Those are those same pillars, for example. Then you've got this liberated child. Who is that fool card? All of these people are the fool card. They are all his stages, her stages, their stages of development, our stages of development. And then we have new realizations, and we have to march to a new drummer. And there is no denying that that is over and something new has begun with that world card. And then we're back again into this kind of cycle of major soul changes. And so those are the majors. And then we also have the minors, you know? So before we jump into the minors and look at those, as we think about these two, are there any of these particular major arcana that we've looked at that you would like to unpack and look at the card and see what all is in there? Because these things are jam-packed. It's really kind of interesting. And this isn't a reading for you per se. We're just looking at a particular card and seeing what all is in there.
Yeah. Two came to mind, the High Priestess and the World.
The High Priestess and the World, both of them beautiful cards, and I can see you right smack in the middle of either one of those. Do you want to choose one of those?
Yeah, High Priestess, I think.
Let's do that. And so Kefri is going to put that up on our interface. And thank you so much for doing that. And we will bring that up right now. And here's our High Priestess. And so as we look at the High Priestess, we have the opportunity to see all kinds of stuff that's built into the card. And again, we aren't reading you, but I'm sure that there was some affinity that you felt here. I don't know if you have any Masons or Masonic heritage, but there's certainly tons of Masonic stuff in this, the black and white pillars of Joachim and Boaz. There is the cross on her breast indicating that she has both control of time as well as contact with the above, the two kind of horizontal and vertical dimensions. The femininity is above her in that full moon, but also under her foot in the crescent moon. Her garment is water. There are masculine and feminine symbols behind her on this veil with the pomegranate, the feminine, and the masculine with the palm. And what else, Kefri, can we notice in this card that we haven't kind of highlighted so far?
She is Isis if we look at her in the Egyptian realm of goddesses and so on, and she is a moon goddess, and there is also an interesting thing here because many thinks she guards the entrance to a temple, so to speak, but she really sits inside the temple guarding the entrance outside. And it could have to do with this: if you go deep inside of yourself, you also need a way to integrate it in your other worlds for the balance, and that is inside this card, actually, mysteriously. And she also has the Torah in her lap, and we can only see part of the Torah, so this is a very secretive woman, so to speak. She doesn't reveal everything. This is intuition in its real form, we can say, that we never can pinpoint completely. It's there if we listen, but it's not readable all the time, so we can not understand it all the time, so to speak. That is what I can say. And she also has a tree of life behind her in the whale, actually, made of pomegranates.
Mhm.
And that is also a thing in here. She has the secret teachings that she based her knowledge on, so to speak.
Thank you. And Sue,
You're welcome.
oftentimes we have a feeling tone or words that come to mind, or something that made us feel an affinity. Do you want to share any of those? Does anything come to mind for you around this card?
No, I think I was drawn by her garment, especially, and the the fruit and palms in the background.
Thank you.
But
Let's
yeah,
do
that's
the
really
world card, Kefri, if you don't mind. Oh, excuse me. I hope I
Yeah.
didn't interrupt you, Sue. I just wanted
no,
to have
not
a
at all.
chance to see, because they're so
Mhm.
pretty, these cards, and there are many,
Yeah.
many gorgeous, gorgeous decks, but we are using the Waite Smith deck because it really is quite intentionally designed and very beautifully designed, and there's a lot in here if you know what to look for, and we're just seeing a few things as we unpack them. So as we look at this world card, we can see there's a giant wreath, firstly, like the wreath of victory. It's got the double red ribbons. Those ribbons are in the form of an infinity sign or a lemniscate, binding up these sides of the victory. And in the middle of this is a figure she now has, who was the magician in the beginning with one single crystal rod, now has the double crystal rods, the purple of victory. And the purple is one of the spheres, or the Sephirot, and the tree of life. Up from us, the access point is that purple point as we have a portal into this world of spirit. And there then are the Ezekiel's animals, or the at the top right, the higher form of Scorpio with the eagle. You have the lion, you have the bull, and then you have, so that's the Scorpio, Leo, Taurus, and then at the top left you have Aquarius, the water bearer, the man who is the water bearer. And so those are the animals, the angels, Ezekiel's angels. There are many, many references here to what these are representing. And notice now they are no longer the books. Now we have kind of a close-up of the head. And so this knowledge is now been integrated. It's no longer book learning. It's now a part of one. What else can we see in this world card, Kefri?
Alison, you have already talked about the portal, and that is here, and she is guarding that portal, actually. And also this oval form is a closing of a circle, and it is like when we close a circle in our life, we also open up a portal to something else, actually. And also, if you look very near to this card and you see the red things, you can also see it like an Ouroboros or two snakes that are eating each other, actually. So that is also a symbol for the world, actually, and how we live in the world and what is important and so on. And this figure also hides his sexes, actually, because it is said that this is a hermaphroditic figure, actually. This is a combination of both sexes, actually, and therefore the veil is there, or the cloth that is wrapping around her. But that cloth is also a spiral, and that is the form of development also, because the secret of that is actually that it isn't a circle, it is a spiral, and she represents that, actually.
Thank you. Anything to
You're
add to
welcome.
that, Sue, as we explore these two cards?
No, it's fascinating. But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, isn't it cool? Yeah, we when we got together in COVID. So the business that I'm building is based on trying to scale up this fabulous experience that we had during COVID, which was to get together once or twice a week and start unpacking decks and doing readings and learning about this stuff and reading books together and blah 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 blah. And it was just such a wonderful communal learning experience, and we're trying to kind of open that process up for people to demystify it, and for anybody who wants to participate in such a thing. I want to build such a community, and so that's what we're giving a glimpse into with these shows. And so that's kind of an example of taking a looking at the cards or studying about tarot. Tarot is a multifaceted thing because not only do you have all this mysticism built into it, and it's a whole pathway kind of tool, you can also kind of play around with it, and do a reading and see how they fall. And, because we are humans, we do like to play, we do like to see what the moment holds and entertain ourselves and all that good stuff. So now that's what we're going to do as we move into the next phase. And we're going to do a quick tour of our minor arcana so that we can just see all the images that we're dealing with. And for those who aren't familiar with the tarot, as Sue is getting to know the tarot right now, these are the half or the 2/3 of the tarot. There's 56 cards here. That in those 56 cards, we've got 4 suits, and those are the ancestors of the playing cards that we use in Las Vegas, for example, and all over the world. Those have been the legacy. This part of what is the hybrid tarot deck. So 56 cards divided by 4, 14 in each suit. There are wands, which is the fire on the left. That's the spark of an idea. You don't know where it comes from. It's coming from somewhere. It came to you. Now, are you going to carry this into fruition? I don't know. Do you care about it enough? That's the next one. That's the cups. And so you have to care about something. Whatever it's spark of an idea that we don't know where it came from, that spark has got to be cared about enough for us to want to do something about it and bring it into the reality. And so there's that cups, which is the suit of care and emotion. And then if that is going to be taken any further than just, ooh, I wish, then you're going to have to make some plans. And you're going to have to write it out, and you're going to have to put a timeline onto it. And you have to start really concretizing and communicating what it is that you want to do. And that's the swords, which is rather a cool suit, as we will see. And then you're going to bring it into reality, which is that coins. Okay, the coins, which is the currency. Currency also having to do with time, and that's a key thing with this suit, because everything that we do in the earth plane, so to speak, which is represented by the coins, by the pentacles here, is happening in time, because that's the medium that we work in. That's the water we have to swim in. That's the stuff our brain has to reference everything with. Our memory needs that in order to kind of file things. It's pretty wild. And it's slow, time is slow. So if you look at that knight down there, of all the knights, he is the slowest, but he's the one who's got to guard the crops, because also on this earth plane, we have to eat. Mm-hmm. You mentioned the Ouroboros with the snake consuming itself. Well, like it or not, this earth plane, as gorgeous as nature is a constant cycle of self-consumption, or consumption of the other, or consumption of the detritus, of the poop of it, the worms and the all of that stuff that makes for the nutritious soil, the fertile soil for us to have nutritious food comes from, and the kosher laws is all related to all these kinds of concepts as well, so all kinds of things are related to the realities of life on our earth. And one of the realities is that pentagram. Why is there a pentagram on the pentacle? Is this witchcraft? No, it's basically representing that in this earth plane, we need our 5 senses to make sense of things. And that's what those 5 points on the star are. Those are our 5 senses, our sight and hearing and taste and touch. And what's our other one? Our smell, which is very related to that swords suit, because things are on the wind and you can kind of sniff them out, for example. There are, in neurolinguistic programming, for example, you have people who have their strong modality, for example, and some people, it's not a majority of people, some people have their strongest modality is their sight or their sound or their touch, and some people have the smell as their strongest modality, and you'll hear them referencing it, oh my God, I could sniff it out and things like this. So there's so much metaphor for all of these things in language. Quickie just view of the cards so we see what these are. Here's our wands. Imagine an idea progressing itself If we had to carry all of our ideas, it would be so heavy, like that poor 10. But then the king, he always has new ideas. He's always like, next, 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 next. That queen, she manages a ton of things because she can multitask. And let's take a look at the cups, which are about the care and emotion. You can see all these different emotional states, for example. The culmination, the most earthy you can get with the emotions is this idea of multi-generation and family and joy and homestead in that 10 down below there. Here's our airy suit of the swords here, which is rather clinical, rather surgical, rather cool, but you do want cool hands to prevail. Should there be a crisis, should you need a doctor, whatever the case may be, you definitely want them to have a plan and not fall apart in the drama. Looking at those court cards, we can see all the air signs here. That knight is off and running. You know, we start wars on the ideas, on the basis of ideas more than anything else, you know. So there's a lot of aggression in this suit potentially as well. Also against ourselves. Look at that 9 and 10. We can kill ourselves with our own thinking. So it's important to be disciplined in our thinking. And then finally, we warm it up a bit in this earth sign with the pentacles so we can see how lovely it is to have the fulfillment in the earth sign. We have this 9 and 10 with multi-generation, with comfort, with the products of mastery and work and everything that's done, all the earthy signs in the symbols in those court cards as well. That king with the grapes and the crocodile and the coin and Taurus the bull and all of these symbols of havingness, you know. So those are our vocabulary words. And what might you like to say, Kefri or Sue? Because I've been talking for a while now. What might you like to share at this point?
I'm just learning. This is amazing. This is really cool.
Kefri, what would you like to add? Thank you, Sue.
It was a fabulous presentation as always, Alison, and it's interesting to see all the powers in this simple deck of cards, actually, but it is a lot of power and all those symbols and everything that has been loaded into it. And also there is also, you was talking about astrology, Sue, and there is also an astrological connection to it also. For example, the High Priestess card is of course connected to the moon. We can see that in the card, and also the World card is actually connected to the planet Saturnus. So that is also, and that is of course also Kronos, the time of this world that you was talking about, Alison, also, that this is also the tool for this world, so to speak.
Oh my gosh, and I just had this image of Kronos consuming his own children. And so we have that idea of this plane being like the consumption. It's pretty, it's a little gruesome, you know, but here we are, you know. Well, those are some of the contradictions that we live with in this place of contrasts, is it not? Are they not? So those are the things we're dealing with here. And then finally, and thank you for your patience, let's just take a look quickly at the reading that we're going to do with Sue today. And so the reason we have the Chariot there is because he's number 7 and we're doing a 7-card reading. And so the top middle is going to be the issue at hand. And you are welcome to focus us, Sue, if you'd like to look at a particular thing, or you can just see what happens. We like when that happens too. We're up for it. This is always a gamble for us. We never know what's going to happen. And that's part of the fun, you know. It's better than Vegas and a lot cheaper, I think. So the issue at hand is at the top middle, and then we're going to be tracing a timeline on the bottom. There's going to be this idea of a timeline of first this happened, then this next thing happened, and then this next thing happened. We're either looking at something that happened, or we're looking at something that's anchored in the now, and we're looking at what just happened, what's going on now, and what's coming up soon. We'll see how that plays, you know. We'll see what it seems to be. You can certainly consider it from all those different angles. And then there's some advice cards at the top left and top right. What's going to be better to be cautious about versus maybe you really want to give more energy into this other supportive direction. And then we'll pull a card at the end to have some perspective on the whole situation.
Cool.
So that's the plan for now. What questions might you have at this point, I wonder?
I'm just excited. This is cool. I say let's go with pick something at random.
Let's do it. My husband follows Andrea's Fashion Galaxy, and she's got like 4 degrees in astrophysics, but she read this book, which I really am into. That's called The 5 Regrets of the Dying, and done by a hospice nurse whose name is Bronnie Ware. And it's a very interesting book. So this woman who's got the 4 degrees, she's German in astrophysics, and she's also really slim and gorgeous, decided that she really wanted to be a fashionista when it all was all said and done. And now she's this fashionista stylist on YouTube, and she's hilarious. And her big thing is, let's do it. She's got this little squeaky voice over there. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Great.
Here we go. All right. So let's pull our little model here. And if we need a reminder of that, you just let us know. I've got my table here. This is my table here. And so what I'm going to do right now, Sue, is I'm going to go ahead and shuffle up. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you to let me know when is a good time to stop. And then I'm going to fan them out again, like we had that snaky thing right now.
Mhm.
And I will basically, where my eyes fall, populate the reading with those cards. And then I think that Kefri will probably pick our 7th card from Stockholm when we get to that point in the reading. So I'm just going to go ahead and start shuffling up. I'm going to move my situation here so I have a better angle on the table. Thank you for your patience. And here we go. Let's put on a little music, shall we? Got to use the tech. And you let me know when you want the music.
Right there.
It's funny to have it on camera and also on the table right in front. And I kind of will usually touch them all, because the idea is, if you were sitting here with me, Sue, then you would be the one shuffling or picking the cards, because this is interactive and experiential. But since we're working virtually and it works, I started doing this on America. Do you remember when we had to pay America Online by the minute? Do you remember that? Dial-up?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was in the chat rooms back in 1995 doing this
Wow.
in a total text-based, and that's where I learned to trust myself in this kind of virtual context, was because these disembodied people would be like, that's amazing. How did you know that? Those are my exact words. And other kind of crazy stuff like that. And so I've been doing it under the radar for all these years, and now we're coming out. We're coming out. Yeah. All right. So we're going to pick a first card, which is going to be the top middle, which is our, as a quick reminder here, that's the issue or the topic at hand. Then we're going to pick our timeline on the bottom, and then we're going to do our advice cautionary, then our advice support. We'll talk about that for a while, and then we'll do our perspective card later on down the line. Does that sound like a plan?
Sounds great.
Beautiful. Okay, so here we go. So what is the issue we're looking at for Sue today? Okay, just because the fun cards are the ones to start with, that's the death card, which is, of course, big, huge changes. Resistance is futile. I think you enjoyed that line I mentioned before.
Right.
Are you a Star Trek-y person?
Yeah, you will become one with the Borg.
Absolutely. Jean-Luc. Locutus of Borg, the stuff that lives in our brain, huh? All right, what's our next thing? So this is a timeline. Let's look at the past. The past for Sue. The 10 of Wands.
Interesting.
Cards are very evocative, aren't they?
Yeah.
What is after that? After that 10 of Wands, then what? the Chariot. And then what? The Two of Wands. Big jump. Imagine going upward, up the ladder. So instead of a 1 to the 10, imagine going 10 to the 1, 10 to the 2, that kind of thing. Imagine that being the pathway, because that's another way to look at these things. Advice, cautionary. Let's be cautious. It might be the default mode. Let's be cautious about this. 5 of Cups. We did a big unpacking of this card in our class the other day. It was so interesting. A lot of power in this card. Looks very griefy. I'm sorry, Kefri, I've been holding this up here, and let us put up the interface. Thank you for your patience, Sue, as we look at this.
Sure.
Let's go ahead and put that death card up in the large position so that we can take a look at that while we're doing the rest of this. Thank you for your patience. So our cautionary is that 5 of Cups. And then in terms of a recommendation for Sue, what's a better direction? What's going to be most supportive to her growth and this transformation that is represented with this death card? Okay, and this is the 9 of... So you are, I'm telling you, you must be a tough cookie, Sue. You like to take on the big challenges, I'll tell you right now.
Yeah.
Look what has been brought to you. All right, so let's notice some proportionality here. So we have in 6 cards, a third of them are majors. That's pretty proportional. Remember, it was 1/3, 2/3 majors to minors, and so that's pretty proportional right now. But the one that's right down the middle, the present time and the issue at hand, are the majors. And so let's recognize that this idea of unstoppable change and your following suit are very much what's the topic at hand here. So in this death card, the Emperor is laid out. He has no power against this change that came through. The Bishop is trying to negotiate. Good luck. That Strength lady who normally can handle that lion can't even look at this figure coming up. The only one who's pretty cool with it is the baby. So that's certainly some good advice for you, is to be like a little child. And that certainly has a biblical kind of reference. And there is much, much Christianity in this deck. And we can look at those angles if you like. Let me also just quickly make a quick reference to our positioning on that death card. The death card is a pathway into that Christ consciousness. Directly so that's it's a way to access the Christ consciousness. And then we have our Chariot card, which is so the death card is kind of a way up into the Christ consciousness, and this Chariot card is kind of how the energy comes down to us and down toward that type of consciousness, but it comes through a kind of harshness of lesson. And it's on the, we looked at those 2 pillars before, and you seem to have some recognition on the 2 pillars. So there's a pillar of mercy and there's a pillar of harshness. There's a pillar of gentleness and there's a pillar of severity. And so the Chariot's lessons are a bit more severe. Death's lessons can be a bit more gentle, even though they seem rather severe. But both of them take us to the heart of things, shall we say. Lots and lots of black in these cards. Do we notice this? And you'll remember that we talked about that world card being Saturn. Saturn is Saturn, the eater of his children. Saturn, the big limiter. But Saturn's also a big ruler of our world, because there is day and night. There is life and death. There is that cycle of birth and rebirth and death that is inherent and part and parcel of whatever we are living and dying, for that matter. So a recognition of that time frame and its inevitability, I think, has driven you to make the moves you've made. You sense this passage of time, and no longer could you be where you were. You had to get out. This represented a huge undertaking for you because it challenged all of your values and you could not see where you were going. Let's go ahead and put up that 10 of Wands, please, Kefri. In the past, as you had to make this decision, there was no choice. Your values made it required doing, a required undertaking. You didn't even know where you were going. You could not see. Perhaps you still cannot see. But that was then. And this is the furthest back in this timeline that we're tracing. So this idea that you took on this big thing and you made this big move. Let's look at that chariot, please, Kefri. This is also the end. This is the end of the difficulties kind of thing with that wands. But it really is being led forward by the nth degree of your values is that wands card. And then it requires you then for you to be this whole person. This is like the most Masonic card. So here we go. I'll bring up this. I've brought it up in other readings. It may have no meaning for you, but the idea there's a mnemonic that says vitriol. The idea of you look inside to polish the stone that is you, and therefore are you creating the philosopher's stone, shall we say. So this figure here, in order for him to be who he is, must create himself from the stone. Look at that chariot. He's actually growing out of it. It's made of stone. It's a cube. It's a whole cube. Cubic stone is the philosopher's stone. There is all kinds of symbolism in here. Egyptian symbolism, Masonic symbolism. He's got the wand. He has an apron. Look at the epaulets on his shoulders are the moon. Those are masks. His personae to the world, his multiple protections, the crown on his head with the 8 pointed stars, the canopy, the belt. In the apron are little astrological signs. Look at the sphinxes. Oh my God, we can go on and on with this. Okay, you have made the move, but this move is an internal move. It probably reflects externally because you had to do so much to effect this change. Mm-hmm. And this is a soul change. It's a big thing. And so when I said, imagine moving from the 10 up the chain, up the ladder, let's look at that 2 now. From this undertaking, have you now got a more global vision? Have you now built something that you can use as a base of operation, shall we say, as a window on the world, as a perch from which to make your plans, as a castle with crenellated features to protect yourself, as well as see in the distance to set your ships out to sail. All of these are your new beginnings. They are underway. Mm-hmm. Advice for you, the 5 of Cups. Let's look at that, please. It's important for you to culminate your time of grief, to wrap yourself in its memories and find the courage to turn around, recognize the 2, again, another 2, you have the 2 in the future, and recognize that you have this 2, these 2 emotional 2s now, these 2 cups, that you can turn around, that you can carry with you, that you can go over the bridge with and to your castle. Look at that castle. It has those same kind of crenellations to it, potentially. That is the home that you are building, and this castle that you are creating. There have been setbacks, yes. But you must turn around because the timing is such that you must climb the ladder. And so let's look at this 9. Rather than covering your face and perhaps being embarrassed by a mistake you made or some deception or some regret that you have. You'll notice there's a few things going on here. There's passion in those red roses in the patchwork on the quilt. The other little patchworks are the different zodiac signs, the constellations, kind of in a little stitch work. The glyphs, they're the glyphs of the signs are in like a little quilting stitch. Are you a quilter at all?
Yeah, I used to quilt.
Okay, so quilting is a significant thing, and so the patchwork, the pattern, the comfort and emotion that this person is sleeping with is important, and yet that dream is but a dream. And as you are able to uncover your eyes, you can use the regrets and all the stuff that you kind of gotta face or wish you would have done differently. Everybody's got them. Notice also on the bottom, there's this idea of a fencer. There's two fencers, and one's on his butt, and the other has, scored the first blood. So yes, you're wounded. Yes, or maybe you wounded someone and now you so regret it. Perhaps you told the truth and it really hurt someone. So in order for you to do what you had to do, you wounded someone, and it was more revenge than it was kindness. And could you have do that differently? Maybe. But all of that is just in the past. And so you must forgive. You must use those thoughts as your ladder up into your new reality. Move from that 9 now into what is your 2 and 3 and 4 of swords. So the planning phases, which are difficult in the beginning, but they are not impossible. And you are the most important thing, to discipline your own thoughts, to not torture yourself, because you are a beautiful woman. You're a beautiful human being. And whatever you did it because you had to do it out of your most true values. And the regret and the forgiveness is for you, for you, for you. So that's what I have to say about these. I hope this is useful. Of course, we have the recording, so you can contemplate these at another time. You don't have to respond in any way right now. I'm just going to go ahead and go off camera, and I'm going to hand off to Kefri at this time. Is that okay, Sue?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Alison. I look at it a bit deeper, and I see that this reading is probably about the project you are in for the moment, Sue, and the big changes that had come by that. And there is also two things here, because I see the death card as also the thing you are doing actually with that center you told us about, because you are preventing people from reaching a situation where death is the only outcome, so to speak, because they work too much and they doesn't relax and so on. But it is also the big change that you are doing in this actually, and that is also a change that goes deep inside of you actually. And the 10 of Wands there, this is all the workload that you have brought on you with this project actually. But this card is also interesting because this person, even if he is carrying a lot, he also finds a position where he is stabled, and that stableness is because of his head, because he leans his head into the bunch of wands actually, and thereby he also is creating a sort of a foundation both for thinking as well as going forward actually, but by standing still for the moment. And this is emphasized in the Chariot actually, because this is a card about travel, could be, but you can see that this wagon or this chariot is very peculiar because it will not move forward. This is an inner journey actually, and that is what you are going through for the moment, I think. And this card also has a sort of a symbolizing in the square he has on his breast, because this is the card that shows that you can find an secret closed off area to work with yourself and to work with developing yourself and going forward. And going a bit more deeper, going in a divine realm for this card, this is the card where the divine energies comes down in a space where you can meet them and work with them and also gradually understand them. And this card is also, you can see that those sphinxes doesn't have any reins. So this is about fate, this card also, because those animals will drive this chariot forward, but this person in it cannot steer it actually, because he doesn't have any reins. It is only his thinking, his fate, his everything that he is inside that will take him forward actually. And this culminates in the Two of Wands actually, because here you hold suddenly the world in your hand actually, and you have you can look at the world as a part of you, or that you are a part of the world actually. And there is a keyword for this card, and that's wisdom actually. And this is the wisdom that are emanating from everything you do at the moment, I think, and the result will be a great form of wisdom. And also, when other people is looking at you, they think you have a very hard life and they think you must be very disciplined in a quite hard way, actually. But for you, it's only light. And it's only mercy, and it's only doing what you feel is the right thing to do at this time. And looking at the cautionary card here, I will read it a bit different that Alison did, and I see it like the thing is, don't be afraid of penetrating your traumas, because you need to go deep inside of them before you turn around and walk over that bridge to that castle. But there is something in this process that needs you to be in your own valuing, so to say, to find answers and to find the strength out of that actually. And this card is a lot about the planet Saturn actually, with all the black here in the middle with the figures. So this is a lot of discipline and a lot of not being afraid of your own thoughts and so on. And then the advice card is actually find the ladder that you can climb out of this situation by. And that is actually the way there is to meet your own anxious thoughts actually, because then the ladder can be formed. And this a group of swords, as Alison already has been into, is actually a ladder, because this figure can climb out of this situation, can also climb higher in this. And there is a thing here also. I usually don't take it up, but I will do that now. Each major arcana card is also connected to a Hebrew letter, actually. And if you know those letters, they make words, actually. And here you have two major arcana cards. And I read it like going from the chariot up to the death is your way of meeting this situation. And there is a group of words for this. And the group of word is grace, favor, charm, beauty, prettiness, loveliness, gracefulness, graciousness, and favor. And going the other way from death down to chariot, which for me is the way of the divine energy from above to down to you, so to speak. There is a group of words here also, and that is Noah, restful, reclinate, and at rest, actually. And that has a lot to do with what you are also creating with your center, I believe. So it's all encapsulated in this 6th card, actually. And now I will take the 7th card for you. And the 7th card is actually the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords. There we go. And that is a lot about discipline and doing the right thing in the right moment. But it is also a lot about feminine beauty and strength, I would say. So that is also a sort of a showing this whole situation that I have been reading in the other cards, actually. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kefri. And that Queen of Swords, I appreciate your interpretation on that, because as we look at this reading, it could look like a bit of an intimidating reading. The images in those cards are some difficult ones. And yet, do you have the mental strength as this Queen of Swords? And yet, do you have the perspective? Excuse me. And yet, do you have the leadership ability to be able to take the necessary directions, to focus your thoughts in those ways, and to make sure that this important work gets done? So the bravery that you demonstrated, the initiative and guts that you said, let's do this. And with your and my working together, for example, Sue, for you to want to prepare in such a way and to experience it yourself shows the level of integrity that you have as a person in terms of your own preparation and desire to understand. And so that mental strength, that Queen of Swordsiness, is a beautiful thing. This is also the card of divorce. This is also a card of taking your own singular direction. You'll notice that she's in profile and the sword is very erect, as opposed to the king, which has a bit of a mitigating circumstances kind of angled sword. And so this is someone who's standing up for her rights, someone who has declared her truth, someone who has moved in her own direction as her own center of authority and power. And may that continue to be you.
Yeah, and that sword is directly connected to source energies, actually.
Yes. And so if there were ever a doubt about your religious connection, purpose, pathway, decisions, any of that, please cast them to the wind. This is such an evidence of your accuracy and incisiveness that you should forgive and bless every moment of the life you have led since you made that difficult decision and before. Blessings upon you forever. This has not been easy. So that's the tarot flow, my dear.
That's incredible. It really is incredible.
I hope that this has meaning for you and will continue to have that and be a source for you to contemplate. I'm feeling quite emotional myself right now. So perhaps you are as well.
Yeah.
And with that, shall we say any parting words?
I can't wait to listen to this again, because this is uncanny.
Okay.
Really
so
is.
I will share the recording with you. I'm going to mop myself up now. And thank you so much for being here with us. I wish you nothing but blessings and success in your path ahead.
I agree.
Thank you very much. Really cool. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We'll see you soon, Sue.
Bye.
Everybody, any final words, Kefri, before we do this?
No, I'm also very touched about this, as you also are, Alison, in a very beautiful way, actually. So I thank you for that also, Sue.
I wanted to find that angel cards deck. Oh, and now I can't find them. Okay, we'll do that another time. So here, a biblical tarot. I've got a biblical one. We just got it. It's a little supermodel-y for me. Okay. Sometimes you get these tarot decks and they're all so AI'd and gorgeous that you have like the saints and the mystics and they're all like they should be on the cover of Muscle and Fitness, So, all right, here we go. This is a biblical tarot deck. I haven't really shuffled it. I'm just going to kind of cut it and see what happens to give Sue an extra little bump as she goes off into the world today. And we have another reading in like 10 minutes. Or when is this? Oh no, it's Jens.
No.
Okay. Getting a little crazy here. All right, here we go. The moon. Beautiful. Okay, so that is the one that we saw there. Let me pull this down here for a moment. Oops.
Oh, that's pretty.
And it says on the moon, Jacob's dream at Bethel. Jacob's dream at Bethel. So what does this mean? This is 18. 18 is the moon in the major arcana. This is a new deck, so we just have it. I'm bringing one to Kefri in Stockholm as well. It looked pretty. We'll hope that it's deep. Journey into the subconscious, intuition, inner guidance, mystery, uncertainty, dreams, vision, illumination amidst the darkness. And so, like we said in that moon card, when you have that flash of illumination, you can see it, but then you can't. And then you're just left unto yourself to figure out your road, and may you be blessed along it. So thank you again, Sue, for being here today. We wish you all the best, and we'll see you everybody next time on the Tarot Flow Show. And I will mop myself up. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Our pleasure. It's been really, really our pleasure to do this reading for you today.
Really cool. Thanks.
Bye-bye, everybody.